Hello and welcome to English 201 section W02, Early American Literature. I thought I'd put out this little, hopefully brief orientation video for y'all. It's going to be similar to the kind of orientation I do for a face-to-face class, and that's normally how I teach the class, so here we go. I've got this kind of welcome announcement here for you that walks you through all the initial tasks that I need you to do and things that I need you to look at within the first week. One big one is to fill out and submit the Arts and Sciences Policy Acknowledgement Form. You're just going to submit that like an assignment. It's not worth any points, but that way I can just have them all dumped into one place and we don't have to deal with emails or anything. And then once I get that from you, you'll just see a little check basically in the grade book. So again, it's not worth any points, but I do need it from you. It's just kind of a CYA thing for us instructors, just to show that, hey, you have read the policies, you acknowledge and agree to the policies, all that fun stuff. So you do have a graded task due by the end of this week. Assignments are always due on Sunday at 11:59, because after that it's Monday. But you've got an introductory discussion board. I'll show y'all where that is in just a second. We'll talk about it just a little bit. It's a kind of intro to the course and also a get to know you kind of thing. But it is graded. It is worth points. And what else do we have? Some information about the late assignment policy. Not that you're going to be turning in stuff late, but if you do need to, there's some information about what circumstances they can be made up under. Also, you do get one 24-hour grace period for a major written assignment. But don't take that unless you need it. And it can still incur a late penalty, so it's just to make sure that you don't completely tank if something crazy happens. Anyway, it's not going to be an issue, right? Because you're just going to turn everything in on time. Yay! There's some information here about a couple of tests. They are not graded tests, but they are required for you to take in order to see other graded assignments. It's an English department college-wide assessment thing. Basically, the way it's set up is you need to get at least 80% on each one before that will unlock the graded assignments. Literature discussion board number 1 and literature discussion board number 2. And you need to get at least an 80% for that to unlock. And you can take the tests as many times as you need to in order to get that 80%. And you can start on those right away. And if you're the kind of person who would rather do some refreshing before taking a test over and over again, get it right the first time because you're smart, I've got some refresher materials on both MLA documentation and grammar in course content, which I will show y'all in just a moment. I've also got some info here about accommodating special needs, so if that applies to you, if you are registered with our Student Disability Services, please let me know and give me that documentation as soon as possible so we can get you all set up. Okay. Getting in touch with me. So don't feel like you're ever bugging me. If you need to contact me and ask questions, get clarification, get feedback, if you're confused about something, or maybe you got a grade and you're not 100% content with it or understand why you got it, I do not consider it, sassy and uppity or whatever for you to ask me. I appreciate knowing when people are confused because, hey, I'm only human. I'm not a psychic. So the best way to get in contact with me is by email, okay? I've got my phone number, my office phone number listed there, but honestly, I'm in and out of the office so much because I do teach face-to-face classes. And, like most people my age, I don't love voicemail. I'm not saying you can't leave me a voicemail. I'm just saying if you want the quicker response, go email, okay? And I've got the email that you should contact me at there. Please make sure that you contact me using your school Gmail, because if you try to use a personal one, it could get caught in my spam folder, and I might not see it for who knows how long. That's definitely happened before. Also, it's just a security thing and a professionalism thing. Just use your school email. Thanks in advance. I've also got my office location and listed their student hours, really. I've got them every single weekday. Speaking of weekdays, sorry, let me backtrack. So when it comes to email, I'm checking it all day long while I'm here. After a certain time in the evening and on weekends, I make no guarantees because, as you can see from the picture, I have a tiny son, and when we're together and at home, he takes up pretty much all of my time and attention. Any parents out there know exactly what I'm talking about. So, yeah, that's really his time. So don't be too upset or offended if I don't get back to you on like a Sunday. Okay, please try to contact me during the week if you want a prompt response. There you go. Now you know. Office hours, though. Just because you're an online student does not mean that you are not welcome to come to my listed student office hours. Those are for you as much as any other student. And I love students coming to show me what they're working on or ask questions or get help on stuff. That is so much more fun than doing it in an online format, and faster and more helpful. So I understand not everybody can do that, and that a lot of y'all are taking an online course because you can't come to campus on the reg or at all. But if you are here, taking other classes, or if you can get over here, pop in. We'll have a cup of coffee or tea or whatever you like, and we'll hash it out. We'll get you sorted. So yeah, please take advantage of that. I am your guide on the side. Use me as a resource. Okay, Syllabus and Info has a ton of super important stuff. So we've got the course plan here, which I'm going to open up in just a sec. Let's get that going. So it's a Word doc. Let that kind of run in the background there for a second. This is where, as it says, you can find info about the textbooks. There are 2 required textbooks, a Volume A and a Volume B of the same anthology. You do have to use that particular anthology because we just need everyone using the same stuff for continuity purposes. So we've also got in there a breakdown of assignments, grade scheme, a calendar with due dates for readings, course units, everything. So we'll look at that in just a sec. Just be aware that this is a static document, and if any changes need to be made in terms of like due dates and stuff, obviously I'll never bring anything forward because that would be cruel and unusual. But if something needed to get pushed back for whatever reason, I don't know why it would, but who knows. Any due date changes or changes anything, I'm gonna tell you all about that in announcements, and it'll update on the calendar over here at the calendar link, which will have all the graded assignments on a calendar. Okay, so that's like a live changeable thing. If I change anything in Blackboard, it changes on there. It will not change on the course plan. So let's just take a quick peek. This has got all that same contact information, stuff about email, yada yada, stuff about the textbook. And then it's broken down into weeks. So what you'll get with each week is the dates, the topic that we're covering. So this is important when following along with the video lectures, because that's how I deliver lecture content versus like a bunch of extra stuff for you to read. Not that I don't love reading. I love reading, but sometimes you just need a human to tell you some things now and then, So I've got YouTube videos. And then we've got the readings for that week. So these are not recommended, like it would be nice if you did these readings, like you are expected to do them all and to completion. I know, crazy, right? And we can always tell when people haven't done it. It's like you can always tell by the discussion boards they do. Sorry, we know what you did or didn't do. So please just do them, they're there for a reason. So tells you that we're starting with Volume A, which makes sense, and it tells you what assignment is due by that Sunday night. You can always do it beforehand. In fact, the literature discussion boards are set up so that you can only get full points for timeliness if you post earlier than the Sunday deadline, because you probably already figured this out if you haven't. That way we don't have everyone trying to post and reply to each other, because you do need to do replies. That's a substantial part of the grade. That's what makes it a discussion. If everyone's trying to post and reply to each other last minute, it's a complete disaster. So that incentivizes. It's not a ton of points. So if you're like, oh, I can't do any work until Sunday, I'm totally screwed. You're not. It's just a few points in the end. But I do like to reward people for posting early. So not a huge deal, but it does help if people are getting in there sooner rather than later. So we've also got when those tests are due, so that MLA documentation test, the one I told you about, you need to get an 80% on before you can see Lit Discussion Board number 1. That is going to be due by the the 26th, and then you have to have that done before you can see and hence do that graded literature discussion board number 1. Okay, we'll talk more about the lit discussion boards in a second, but those are a substantial part of the course grade. So yeah, we've got this column here. It's got all the readings that you're going to be doing. You're probably looking at this going, wow, that's a lot of reading. Yeah, it's a literature course. I mean, that's what we're here to do. That's the name of the game. And I would not recommend, you're going to do what you're going to do. It's like Benjamin Franklin said, experience keeps a dear school, but fools will learn in no other. I am one of those fools. I get it. Sometimes you just need to put yourself in a really difficult situation before you realize what you should have done better. But just a word to the wise, waiting until Sunday, the Sunday that these things are due, to start on your reading is a really bad move. Like, don't do it. Like, you've got weeks where you got some weeks that are lighter than others, but you've got some weeks where you've got like 70 plus pages of reading to do, like dense, puritanical kinds of stuff. Sometimes you'll have to like read footnotes and everything just to understand what's going on. It's dense, okay? But it's college. It's supposed to be hard, right? If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. Just saying, if you've got lighter weeks or weeks where you're not quite so busy, if you could be really kind to your future self and sit down and like force yourself to get ahead on some readings, yeah, your future self will thank your past self profusely if you do that. But hey, you're going to do what you're going to do. So we've got 2 tests that you're going to do. They're going to be comprehensive, basically covering, everything you read up to that point kind of thing. But we'll talk more about that when we get closer to those. We'll also talk more about the free-for-all project. That's a substantial part of the grade, but I've got some examples of those too that I'm not going to show you in this because this will get really long if I do, but you can look at on your own. But that's kind of more of a rather than having to do a paper, it's kind of more of a creative visual representation of some outside research that you're going to do on a topic related to what we're reading, but kind of more like historical, cultural context kind of stuff. Anyway, it's compared to the rest of it, it's pretty fun. Or it can be, depends on you. Okay, so scooching on down, plagiarism, you're not going to do it, right? So we can just skip over that entirely. Grade scheme. So just so you can get a sense of okay, here's what you're going to do and here's what it's worth. You're going to do 9 literature discussion boards over the course of the semester. It's like 1 a week, basically, for most of the semester. So as you can see, that shakes out to almost half the grade for the course. So it's not a good idea to skip them. And I do that versus reading quizzes and lots of, I'm interested in your interpretations of the literature. That is much more interesting to me than names and dates and stuff like that. Memorizing those. Obviously you need to have accuracy, but yeah, kind of more of an open book accuracy, We've also got a bunch of stuff related to that free-for-all project I was just talking about, a couple of tests, final exam. So go ahead and take a look at all that when you're able and in the mood. So we've also got the course syllabus. That's just some general stuff about the course in general. It's a boilerplate thing that all 200 level 201 classes have, regardless of the section. We've got some info about the online attendance policy, how that's calculated. Just basically it's this, if you don't turn in the assignment for the week, then you're counted as absent, whether you're going into the course or not. That's how we calculate grades in online classes. There you go. Easy. Civil discussion policy. I do ask that you read through that before you do any discussion board activities, just so it's really important that we have I'm not saying everybody has to be, walking on eggshells around each other or anything. I want to make sure we have good, meaty discussions about, frankly, there's going to be some controversial stuff that comes up. It's America, so it's inevitable that when we're looking at our history, there's going to be some deeply controversial stuff in there, and I want to have meaty discussions about it, but there's a right and a wrong way to do that. So this is a departmental civil discussion policy, and I do ask or require really that you read it before attempting to do any discussion. Okay, so I'm going to take a pause here because Screencast-O-Matic only lets me record for 15 minutes, but I'll be back.